Good morning, everybody. This is Al Stefanelli. You are listening to Boquete Now Talk Radio on Radio Cherokee 103.3 FM, sponsored by Big Daddy's Grill, Boulder 54, and the Tap Out Sport Zone. Today, we have a wonderfully fantastic, awesome, and just an all-around great show. We welcome back to our program, Dra Shannon Tuer. Hello.
Thank you, Al. Good morning.
Good morning. We're going to go over some stuff today because, you know, as it stands in the way things are done here, the information changes at a sometimes rapidly and unpredictable rate.
From hour to hour.
From hour to hour, yes. You know, and I know that there was some confusion regarding lockdowns and curfews and, you know, gendered shopping. And, you know, first they came out and said that, well, yeah, we have gendered shopping. And then late at night they released another communication just for Cherokee that said, no, we don't have gendered shopping. And some of the stores didn't really get that information. So they were still doing gendered shopping. People were turned away from PriceSmart.
I mean, nobody knew what was going on.
Yeah.
It was craziness.
Yeah.
Because the way the decreto was worded, the one that kind of lifted some of the restrictions, wasn't real clear on this province or the rest of Panama that's not Panama West or Panama City.
Yeah.
It made it sound like we were still under gender divided shopping, or however you want to say it. And it took them 24 hours to come out and clarify.
That, yeah. And
even then, some of the stores were like, no,
we didn't get that.
Yeah.
And that last communication that came out from Minsa Cherokee, they ended their communication with what should have been the lead. The last sentence of the communication, clarified that yes, there are no gender restrictions, but it was way down at the bottom, effectively burying the lead.
Right.
And
by the way,
a lot of people don't read the whole thing.
Yeah.
Some of those communications are 3, 4, 5 pages long, and I know
go right
that,
to the grain of it. I go right to the end.
Well, that's usually, I wouldn't do it that way, but I don't run Minsa and I don't run their communication department, but it's why it's always important to read, to read everything.
Yeah, I think we've gotten a little bit lazy with the reading. I think
for the most part, a lot of us are limited to 240 characters. The communication that came out yesterday, number 317, focused mainly on Panama and Panama West and the cities and districts and provinces out that way, out east.
Those are the big hot spots.
Those are the big hot spots, yeah. What I found interesting, though, towards the end of their communication, it says that Minsa reminds the population of the importance of self-care and stress management through the following recommendations. And they say to lead a healthy lifestyle that includes physical activity. I know the first thing you say is, how can we have physical activity if we're locked down? As much as possible, and adequate nutrition, and maintain routines with balanced schedules between work obligations and possible pleasant activities that allow distraction and relaxation, as well as sufficient rest. And they have suggested to avoid the consumption of alcohol, tobacco, and other psychoactive substances. That might have the opposite effect. Resort only to official and reliable sources of information.
As a matter of fact, on Fridays, you kind of see the shopping carts full with the beer, the wine.
You have 72 cases of Modelo in there, right?
Case.
Yeah. And it says to maintain contact with acquaintances and loved ones using technological means, and to continue with medical treatments for the indicated time. And just because everything's been doom and gloom and everyone's been doom scrolling through social media, how about a little good news, right?
Oh, good news, yes.
Yes. There are 48,883,000 and change individuals that have been infected with COVID throughout the world that have recovered.
Awesome.
48 million have recovered.
That's what we need to hear.
And that's out of 87 million positive cases. So, that's a really, that's more than half
Well, that's good news.
And the fatality percentage worldwide is 2.2%, and here in Panama, it's 1.6%. So I know, there's a lot of, everyone's all, oh, this is hard, and it is horrible. I mean, it's a terrible thing, but we are ahead of the curve.
We are.
Comparatively for the world, and even
as far as the death rate, as far as a lot of things.
Yeah. Now our positivity rate is still above 25%.
Yeah.
And that is concerning.
It is. It's high, very high.
And I
think it's the highest.
It is. It's the highest in Panama anyway. Actually, no. It's one of the highest in the world. But the last information that we got from Minsa's Chiriquí, was that Chiriquí was particularly Boquete and also the whole district.
We're number one.
We're number one. Yeah.
Not in a good way.
Yay? No, definitely not.
Not in a good way. You guys be more strict.
Yes. Masks. Wash your hands.
Yes, and wear your mask over your nose and mouth.
Yes. Yeah, when we have seen.
We have seen.
We know.
We have seen. Yeah.
We have seen.
And face shields are great.
Yeah, and I keep a face shield in my car. I don't wear it. Obviously, I don't wear my mask when I'm in my car. I don't. The jury's out on that as far as what people think.
No, put your if you're not going to wear it in the car, I understand.
Yeah.
If you're alone.
If you're alone, yeah. Or if you're with someone in your bubble, in your family bubble.
But when you get out of the car, people, please put on that mask. I don't care if you're walking to a restaurant where you're going to sit down and take it off anyway.
Yeah.
Or going to a store and you're going to put it on when you get... No.
As soon as you get out of your car. And I keep the face shield with me because, I'll give you an example. Last week, I had gone to Super Baru. That's where I do a lot of my shopping. And when I got there was nobody online. I went in the store. There was maybe a dozen or so people in the store. It wasn't crowded at all. I was in and out of there in literally 15, 20 minutes. The next
Almost unheard of.
I know. The next time I went, there was a line. And it was a longish line. It went almost to where that little coffee shop attached to the church on the corner is.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, well, I sat in the car for a few minutes, and I looked at maybe for about 15 minutes, and the line really wasn't moving that fast, which told me there was a lot of people. They were at capacity. So at that point, I put my face shield on over my, I had the mask on too, obviously. If you wear the face, you still have to wear the mask. Okay, just so you all know that, Put the face shield on, you still have to wear the mask. Because when I got in the store, it was crowded. And people were almost rubbing against me, going down the aisles. There was the usual backlog at the produce guy. So I keep the face shield in the car mainly because if I'm going to go into the store where it's crowded, then I want to have that extra protection. I
think that's an awesome idea.
Yeah, I had gone down to this dollar store, the 123 dollar store in David with my bubble, with a couple people from my family bubble, and the store was packed. It was jammed, and I got a little claustrophobic. I usually don't get claustrophobic, but there were so many people. There were hundreds and hundreds of people in there, and they were all jammed together. And I was looking for some socks and a chest set, and I found what I wanted. I grabbed it, and I got the heck out of there. But yeah, the face shield does add that extra layer of protection, and
it does. It keeps any droplets from getting into your eyes.
Right. Yeah.
Collecting around your eyes or around or even hitting your mask.
Yeah.
Because a big infection point is also if you're not washing your mask regularly, or you're not spraying it down regularly with alcohol, or if you're not changing out the paper ones every 4 hours.
Yeah.
There are germs that stick to the outside.
Right.
Of the mask. So if you're touching it, and then you're touching your face.
Right. You're defeating.
You're contaminating.
The purpose.
Yeah, you're defeating the purpose.
Defeating the purpose.
Putting a face shield over it kind of helps protect also.
Yeah.
the germs from hitting the mask.
And I think I got my face shield. I can't remember what pharmacy I got it. It was like $1, $1.50.
Yeah, you can find it really reasonably priced.
And just keep it in your car.
Yeah.
You know, or if you're a walker, you know, I don't mean a zombie. If you're a walker, throw it in your purse, you know, or your backpack or whatever, you know. There has been
sling it over your arm.
Sling it over your arm. There has been some, you know, some talk, as there is wont to be on Facebook, about, you know, there really shouldn't be any controversy about wearing a mask. You know, I think that has been thoroughly talked about, and the information has been disseminated to the public that, you know, the mask is not going to do things to you that people say they are.
It's not gonna poison you.
Right. This is what I wanted to ask you. You know, in your professional opinion.
In my profession.
In your professional opinion, I've read on social media, obviously, because that's pretty much where all this comes from, that wearing a mask is harmful. And there's particulates that you breathe out and then breathe back in, and then just there's a lot of misinformation about.
There is a lot of misinformation
about it. So
you're not going to collect in an average mask. You're not going to collect too much CO2, carbon dioxide. Yeah. That dissipates. It goes out the sides. It goes out the top, and then you're going to say, well, if that's the case, then why wear a mask?
Right.
For obvious reasons, you still wear a mask.
Yeah.
I think that subject's been beaten to death.
Yeah, and you would think.
You would
think. You know, I wear the mask to protect other people. You know, that's and
it keeps your germs to yourself.
It keeps my germs to myself.
Like they say, keep your hands to yourself.
Keep your
germs to yourself.
I need to. That'll make a good song.
It would.
A good parody. Hey, Weird Al Yankovic, if you happen to be listening to this show, how about doing a parody of the Georgia Satellites? Keep your hands to yourself. Keep your germs to yourself.
There you go. I like that idea.
I might do that when I get back home.
I think you might have to do that. I would love to hear that.
Except I can't sing for squat, but you know that's okay.
It doesn't matter.
I'll auto-tune it. But yeah, it's. I think, you know, there is so much misinformation out there, and I know that, you know... Yes.
To cut you off again. Also on the box, you'll see on all the boxes of the surgical masks, not for medical use.
Right.
Or something similar to that effect.
To that,
yeah. That is pertaining mostly to doctors that need to isolate against really infectious diseases that are going to be exposed to them for 8 hours a day.
Right. You're not going to want to throw a mask on and go into an Ebola ward.
Exactly. You're going to want to use a little bit. It's not meant for the general public. It's just fine for the general public. It got enough breathing space in it to allow air to come out and air to come in. So you're not going to drop your O2 sats. Even if you're an asthmatic, I'm an asthmatic. My O2 sats with double masking, because I always double mask when I'm at work, because I want to keep my interior mask clean.
Right, yeah.
By covering it with another mask. Oops, sorry about that.
Well, and I have COPD, as you know. As my doctor, you know this already. But
I know this.
I have COPD, and I generally have a little harder time breathing than someone who doesn't. But the mask does not affect me in a negative way. It doesn't. Now, I'm not out there trying to, you know, ride a bike or go hiking, but this is general use. Even these cloth ones, which are a little more restrictive, I can still breathe. I can still take enough oxygen in it. I don't get lightheaded. I don't feel like I'm going to faint, you know. And as you know, the medical professionals go entire shifts wearing these masks.
Oh, even just for in the hospital, for an example, I had to run up 5 flights of stairs in a regional hospital to get to a code. Throw on all the gear. The
Everything.
booties, the gown, the gloves, the head covering, the N95 mask. Not the N95s that you see here, that the KN95s that are they don't suction cup to your face.
Yeah.
Huffing and puffing, put all that on to go in and do CPR. Now, if you've ever done CPR.
Yeah, and I was a paramedic back in another lifetime.
You were?
Yeah, I was on the fire department in New York.
What did you not do?
Oh gosh, well that was volunteer, and that's a whole other show. We could talk about that, but it takes effort and energy and
I had sweat streaming down my face. I was huffing and puffing, and I did feel like passing out, but I do anyways when you do correct CPR, even when you're just in a regular paper mask.
Yeah.
You're huffing and puffing and sweating. So imagine.
I know. I can't. And this. Back in when I was with the fire department, obviously, the protocols for CPR were different. They were very different. This is 30 years ago, maybe 35 years ago, probably 30 years ago. So in addition to the chest compressions, you had literal mouth to mouth.
Right.
And which of course probably wouldn't be a. Yeah, how do you even handle that? Now, I guess you'd have to have a hand respirator.
Not necessarily. There are protectors that you use that go over the nose and mouth of the patient.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, it's been
a little
such a
pocket
long
pass,
time.
basically.
It's
either one that sits on top, or they have the really flat ones that you just undo and they're disposable. Yeah,
wish we had those.
Yeah.
I wish we had those back then, because people get into car accidents and they get sick, and then you got it. Yeah, it's just like never mind.
Now for the everyday rescuer in the street, non-medical personnel, they don't even recommend giving mouth to mouth, just doing the chest.
Just doing the chest compressions. Yeah.
Because apparently that still is getting enough circulation, and the most important thing is getting that circulation going.
Yeah.
And transporting the oxygen through the bloodstream, and I guess. You're still pumping in a little bit of air because you're pumping both the lungs and the heart when you're pumping the heart.
That's true. Well, it's interesting to me that with the efforts being put forth by the WHO, PAHU, the CDC, the all of the international and local government, local state governments, health departments, trying to put out as much accurate information as possible regarding the efficacy of masks and social distancing and just all of this, that there is still so much misinformation that's out there, and it's being, for whatever reason, discarded by so many people. And
it's mind-boggling.
I mean, we only covered the masks. You've got people who don't want to do social distancing. You've got people who are, hell bent on getting out and going to, parties.
Right.
And I know that everyone has been looking at the numbers that have come out, especially the other day when we broke 5,000.
Oh.
And if you look, the last time we had a spike, it was because of Mother's Day and Thanksgiving, and this spike is now from Christmas, as you said.
We're still waiting for New Year's.
We're still waiting for New Year's, and from what I could see on social media, there were more New Year's parties than there were Christmas parties.
There usually are in the Latin culture. That's the big holiday, the big celebration is New Year.
Yeah, so I think in another week. Probably week and a half, maybe we're going to see another spike.
I think over the coming days we're going to see another spike, unfortunately. And while it's true that it appears that we're doing better, numbers can be deceiving, percentages can be deceiving.
Yeah, absolutely.
Statistics can be deceiving.
Yes, 96.8% of statistics are made up on the spot.
So, you really have to go with it. It's a lot of people say, well, the numbers have gone way down, or the numbers are up, but the deaths are way down. So that's a good. Yes, it is a good thing. It's an excellent thing.
Well, sure, yeah.
But it's concerning, the number of infections, not because it's going to start causing a huge death rate. Mm-hmm. It's more because we're trying to keep the hospitals from becoming bogged down.
Right, yeah, and I posted something about that last week or maybe earlier this week. I don't know. I have trouble with time. About the reason why, and we discussed this privately too. You know, the reason why these lockdowns and these curfews are in place, and it's not so much to curb the spread, which obviously we want that.
Yeah.
But from the way you explained it to me and the way I read, is the average duration of a hospital stay for somebody with COVID is considerably more than your average hospital stay.
Right.
So it's just a lack of beds.
It's a lack of beds. It's a lack of staff.
A lack of staff. And
they're actually having to decide who to give treatment to.
Yeah.
It's almost a war now. It's like when you say, okay, this guy's probably not going to survive.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what we're going to do for him. He's probably, we need these medications and that machine over there.
For this person
patient over here who has more chance of surviving. Yeah. And it doesn't matter if it's a 90-year-old or a 30-year-old that they're talking about not resuscitating, not using their resources on.
Yeah.
It's anyone that they think, hey, this guy doesn't have a chance. Yeah. We can't waste our medicines and our equipment on him. We're going to have to go to this. You know, it's sad, but it's true.
And you know, if someone, you know, if there's a trained doctor, you know, a professional such as yourself that can make that decision, you know, you have enough, and anyone, pretty much any doctor, and probably a lot of nurse practitioners have that
responsibility.
Yeah, but they also have the knowledge, though.
The knowledge
they could, okay, this person is definitely, you know, the likelihood of their survival is minuscule.
The likelihood that we're going to be able to bring them back, or that we're going to be able to spend the amount of time and effort when we have 100 other patients who are hospitalized that are also severe.
Yeah. But what happens?
We don't have time to spend a gazillion hours with this patient and probably lose him anyway.
And it's unfortunate. Now here's, you know, from my perspective.
And it hurts. It hurts to make those decisions.
And I can't even imagine on the other level. Okay, now if you were to have to make that decision about somebody, you know, as an observer, I would say, well, you know, she's a doctor, she's a physician, she's been through medical school, she has experience, and I would feel very, very confident that was the best decision. Now, when I was on the street as a paramedic in an ambulance, I don't have that knowledge. You know, my medical responsibilities is to stabilize the patient and get him in the ambulance and get him to the hospital. Yep. Back then, and I don't know if they can do it now, we weren't even authorized to give injections. You know, we had a very limited amount of treatment that we can do to get this person to the hospital.
IV, oxygen.
So if I'm on the street and I had to make that decision, they're doing this in California now, in Los Angeles, where they have given instructions to the ambulances, to the paramedics, to make that decision. Yeah. Do they take them to the hospital or not?
Yeah. And it's not like I've read some people put that, oh, well, if you come upon a dead body, obviously you're not going to transport them. No, that's not what they're saying in California. What they're saying in California is this patient is probably going to code. Mm-hmm. We're probably going to work him, and he's not going to come back.
Yeah, and I don't...
And there's no room in the hospital anyway.
And I don't feel, you know, that at that time, now the training may be different, you know, there may be a lot more knowledgeable now. But with the training that I had and with the responsibilities limited responsibilities, you know, that I had, I would feel horrible about having to make that decision because I wouldn't be sure of myself.
Well, usually, and they might have some kind of protocol that they follow. Yeah. With a guideline that says, okay, if this is this.
If thens.
Yeah. But then you also have contact with your base, which is usually a doctor. Mm-hmm. And the doctor, at least back when I was a paramedic, the doctor was the one that made those decisions, whether to call it, you know, the paramedics, the EMTs, they weren't qualified to pronounce somebody dead.
Yeah, we weren't.
Yeah.
There was just, that was not happening.
Yeah.
And yes, there was communication, unlike today where the communication is almost instant. You know, we had radios.
Radios, yeah.
You know, we had radios, but in the situation now, you're already short-staffed. Yeah. So is that doctor going to even be available?
It should be. There should always be one available. I don't know about in the States.
Yeah.
But
here, there should be always one available.
Yeah, even if I want to transport a patient, see, if someone comes to the clinic I work at and they're, very ill, and they require transportation in an ambulance with oxygen, IV, support,
yeah.
I have to call the medical director for 911.
Okay.
I can't just call an ambulance and say, come get him.
Right.
I have to call that medical director. I give him the case. That guy decides whether he's going to send out an ambulance or not.
Okay, all right. So there seems to be.
Then I have to call the emergency room and let them know.
Come in. Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, well, that seems, and I'm glad that those fail safes are in place.
So that you're not just transporting someone with a hangnail and.
Right. Yeah, I can't even imagine the stress of the medical personnel on the street having to make that decision.
Yeah.
And then wonder. I don't know. It's a bad situation all around, and I know that there's part of the misinformation campaign that's out there. Basically boils down to, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
It's not that bad. We don't really need to be wearing these masks.
And 99% survive. Well, that's not exactly true, but 99% survive the illness. That's not exactly true. And then you have to think about the complications afterwards.
Right.
Some people are on waiting lists for lung transplants. They didn't die.
Yeah.
They probably will if they don't get a lung transplant.
Get a lung transplant, yeah.
There's others that have inflammation of their heart that could easily kill them, and that appears possibly weeks after getting infected.
Yeah.
And that can kill you many weeks after.
Sure.
Or just completely damage your heart, and then you have to be in treatment the rest of your life, well as with your lungs, as well as with your kidneys. This is a virus that's affecting various organs in the body. It doesn't matter if you had a mild infection or if you had a severe infection. These things could appear later on.
Sure. Yeah. And what not interests me. What I guess confounds me sometimes is that. If you don't have medical knowledge, or at least a rudimentary understanding of how infections spread, and a lot of people do, a lot of people have had the flu, and they know that if you have the flu, you stay home, you do this, that, you don't go out and infect other people or whatnot, and it boggles my mind sometimes that you've got the same group of people that are comparing COVID-19 to the flu, but aren't following the recommendations if you have the flu.
Yeah.
So, if you have the flu, these are the things that your doctor tells you to do. Stay home, stay in bed, get rest, you drink plenty of fluids.
Don't be around other people.
Don't be around other people. But on the same token, if you think that COVID-19 is nothing more than a glorified flu, then why are you not understanding the importance of wearing the mask, the curfews, the quarantines, the lockdowns? And I know the lockdown, by the way, we're on lockdown tonight from 7 p.m. tonight until 5 a.m. on Monday. So just wanted to throw that out there.
You can go out for emergency medical attention.
Yes.
You can.
And if you are traveling...
I'm on call this weekend.
If you're...
So stay home. No, I'm kidding.
If you are traveling, by the way, just a little offshoot here, and your plane lands this weekend, if you have your travel documents, and if you have proof, if you're just coming to visit, and you have a reservation at a hotel or a hostel, you have those documents. They will let you pass through the security fences. If you live here, obviously, you would want to have, hopefully you prepared for this, and you have a copy of your mortgage or your lease or something that shows where you live. I know
we've almost been doing this for a year now.
Yeah.
So people should have their documents.
And I think, let me double check here, but some of those on my driver's license, it doesn't say where I live, but
no, that's in the States, I think.
On my visa, on the back of my, and if you're watching on YouTube, on the back of my visa, it says Dirección Chiriquí Boquete.
Oh, so you're set. Yeah.
So, even if I was stuck outside of the area, all I got to do is show my visa, and on the back of it, it shows that I live in Cherokee and Boquete, and I'd be able to.
Yeah.
I also have
a water bill, an
yeah,
electric
for
bill,
the last
cable bill,
8 months.
rental contract.
Yeah, I carry my lease with me, and various other things. So,
and if you don't have any of these other things, then see if you can get a document from the municipio that you're a resident.
And worst comes to worst, keep some cash on you if you got to stay in a hotel over the weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, but the best is if you don't have to travel, don't travel.
Don't travel. Yeah, and that's the thing. That's one of the things that that I'm seeing a lot on social media. I'm not singling anybody out. I'm not pointing anybody out. I don't do that. But I do understand that there is a contingent of people who think that this is all ridiculous. That the lockdowns are ridiculous, that the curfews are ridiculous, that the wearing of a mask is ridiculous. How come you can go into a restaurant but you can't go to the beach? How come you can go into...
How come we have a curfew? Does the virus only come out at night?
Right.
That type of thing. And you people know the answer to that. You people know the answer to it, and it's just a little bit of frustration coming out, and I know it. But be patient. The vaccine is coming, and that's another problem.
Now, I wanted to address that.
I knew this was going to come up.
Yeah, I know it's going to come up.
Well, you told me it was going to come up, so I was kind of
cheating. I'm getting some texts from people here that they're having trouble hearing the show. The volume is low, and there's other music or something playing in addition to it.
And they're also praying. There was some praying going on too.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure what's going on here.
I don't
I'm sure
know,
that,
but I got a message too, and I told Bolivar, but he turned up the volume on the radio here, and it sounded normal.
It sounded normal here.
Yeah,
right. Well,
so I'm not sure which people are using. Which app or which?
I don't know. But we'll just keep on going, right?
We'll keep going.
As you know, everybody, there was a release by Minsa on. Let me go to my files here because I save everything. I literally save everything. I have people.
And you can't find a thing, right?
I have people sending me PMs. Hey, do you have the information that was released in July? And I'll find it. It might take me a minute to find it, but
give me a month and I'll find it. Don't worry.
Yeah. So let's see here. We got details on the COVID vaccine here. Okay. Yeah. There's 4 phases.
Yep.
This is the information that we've got. There's going to be 4 phases to this vaccine rollout. We know from Minsa that the vaccine is going to be here within the next week or 2. They've already said that they've given us those dates. They've also given us information on who is in these groups. Who's in phase 1? Who's in phase 2? Who's in phase 3? Who's in phase 4?
There's a lot of confusion about that.
There is a lot of confusion on that, and I know also that people trying to go to that website to register for their vaccine. It's not really registering for the vaccine.
Well, first of all, that first night when it first happened, it went around social media like wildfire.
It did.
And they crashed the system.
Yeah.
And I think it still kind of crashed.
Here's some little piece of information here. Every morning and every evening since this came out, I checked the site to see if you can register by using your passport number, and you still can't. It's still only for. It's still only for your.
It's for people with an e-cedula, a PE cedula, regular cedula, but visas and passports, for some reason, they haven't.
They haven't implemented it. Yeah. Because the first thing it tells you is, put in your ID number and to include the dash. And the only ID number in this country that has a dash in it is the carnet, the cedula and the carnet de registration.
Right, the permanent residency cedulas, not the visas.
Not the visas. And
obviously not your passport.
Yeah, and there's a few numbers on those visas and none of them work. I've tried all of them.
No, and I believe it says there that it's only accepting cedulas, and that's not because they're not going to vaccinate people with visas. It's not because they're not going to vaccinate people that are living here with, their resident visa or their tourist visa. They want to obviously vaccinate as many people as possible, Of course, this might encourage people to legalize their status in the country.
Right. Well, yeah.
And I know that some people have been trying, but they haven't gotten their schedules yet.
Right.
Because of obvious reasons, because of the shutdowns and that kind of thing. Everything's been backed up. It's harder to travel. It's harder to go and get your paperwork done.
Yeah, and there's a lot of, some of the government offices are closed. Some
Right.
of them are, and
it makes it difficult to travel with the sanitary fences and that kind of thing between provinces. And most of that stuff is done in Panama City. But the good news is they're going to be opening up kiosks in front of because MINSA is the only authorized institution to apply the vaccine.
Right.
It's not going to be in private clinics. It's not going to be in private hospitals at this point. Only MINSA is authorized. And the reason only MINSA is authorized is because each vaccine has a barcode.
Right.
And that barcode is so that they can keep track of the people that receive their first doses and ensure that they're going to have their second dose ready.
Right, and that second dose is what? A couple of weeks later, a few weeks later?
Yeah, it depends on the pharmaceutical company. One, I believe, is like 3 weeks after. The other is 28 days after.
Okay.
And they will definitely tell you when they apply the vaccine. The first one that's coming here is Pfizer.
Right.
And I think they said they were bringing in, I don't even remember how many doses they said they were bringing in, like 450,000?
Something like that, yeah.
This is probably not going to be applied to the general population in the beginning.
Yeah, first responders.
Police,
and frontline workers and
firemen,
whatnot.
doctors,
and that's
public institutions.
That's really, you need that. I fully agree with that. That's you gotta protect the people that are protecting us.
Yeah, it's just like any other country. They're doing the same process in other countries. Panama is following along with the other countries.
Right.
They're first line workers, as well as those in institutions like nursing homes to protect them.
Critically ill.
The critically ill and the bedridden people. But not to worry, because the vaccines, apparently, according to what I've read, and it's not confirmed, so don't quote me on it, but according to what I've read, after the first ones start arriving, then every week they should be receiving more doses of vaccine.
Right, so it's just that initial...
kinds. Right. And the other, we're getting the Pfizer. We're getting the Johnson & Johnson.
And Moderna, I think, is coming too.
Yeah, I think that's in the third phase, they said.
Third phase, yeah.
Yeah, which is, people with health conditions, or is that the second? I don't even remember. Yeah. I have to look it up.
I was actually looking for that graphic.
I think on our Messenger, we send it back and forth to each other, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did. Yeah.
Let me look it up here.
But they have and I posted this too. So like I said, I should actually have prepared better and put this on the top of the list.
I never realized how much junk we send each other.
I know, right? Check a look at this. This is great.
Yeah, I know. Hey, can you confirm this for me?
But yeah, I'll just go ahead and look at I have the actual graphic in my photos, but my Spanish, my conversational Spanish is not really what it should be. And
you're looking for the translated copy.
I was looking for the translated copy, but I've got the other one here that gives you the. Oh, wait a minute. I think I have. No, I don't have it. All right, phase 1, 450,000 doses, 225,000 people, health officials, national security, the police, Senan, Sinaproc, SBI, members of migration, aduanas, adultos mayores encamados.
Elderly.
Yeah, I don't know what that
is.
Elderly,
and those in nursing homes,
and people over 16 with disabilities.
No, over 16 with disabilities. Now they asked me what disabilities are. That's not defined.
No, it has not been defined yet.
Disabilities are, like disabled people in any other country, I'd assume.
Yeah.
Amputees and that kind of thing.
Right.
I don't know exactly what they mean by disabilities.
Now, phase 2 seems to be a significant increase in doses from phase 1. There's almost 1.1 million doses.
Yeah.
And this is adults over 60 years old. And patients.
546,000 people will be able to be vaccinated in that second phase.
That second phase. So adults over 60, and what's the second one? Pacientes with
those with chronic illnesses,
chronic
like
illnesses.
Diabetes, like hypertension, so on and so forth.
Right. And then phase 3, 300,000 doses for 300,000 people.
So that one, it was only going to require 1 dose, apparently.
Yeah, it looks that way.
Yeah.
Unless that was well, no, I guess.
I'm not sure which pharmaceutical company that one is that only requires 1 dose, but I know there is one.
Yeah, and that bullet point under that, what is that?
Okay, it says this one will be distributed among the indigenous, basically.
Okay.
Difficult to reach areas and the indigenous population.
I should have known that. Difícil acceso. All right, and then for the final phase is 1.11 million doses for 556,000 people, and that's for people between 50 and 59, right?
Right.
And
teachers, bus drivers,
and then the general
public
public.
transportation, and the general population. So that's like everybody else falls into that group. Those that are not over 60, those that don't have any health issues, just your general population. And that apparently is what this first registration is for.
Was for. So the first registration was for the 4th phase.
For
is down.
Some unusual reason, but I think it's just so that they can figure out the logistics.
Yeah.
So all of you that are over 60, that have health issues, that are disabled and that kind of thing, it's not going to harm you to sign up at this phase, but it's also not the way they're doing it. But and for those of you that don't have an e-cedula or don't have a cedula number and you can't register online, as I said, they're going to be setting up the kiosks in front of the health centers to facilitate. And also, you're not going to be left out.
Right.
As I said, they are pushing this vaccine. They want as many people vaccinated as possible.
Well, I know
it's not discrimination.
Yeah.
Everybody has the same right to this vaccine.
Right. Well, they have to prioritize, though.
They do have to prioritize, and that's why they're setting up the different phases. So be patient.
Yeah, and one of the questions that I've gotten repeatedly was, is this only for Panamanian citizens? It's everyone who is here, everyone who lives here, obviously, Panamanian nationals, citizens, and those of us who are here legally.
Even tourists have the right to get their vaccines and stuff.
If you're in this country, if you've come in, and whether you're a resident, a legal resident, a citizen, a national, a tourist, if you are here, then you will get this vaccination.
Right.
And we don't yet know how that's going to work.
We won't know until it even comes in. And there's also rumors that it's already here and that members of the government have already gotten their vaccines or that they left the country to get their vaccine. No, these are just, it's rumors flying.
Yeah.
Yes, there was someone that went on vacation. Yes, he was a director of one of the province's health departments or something like that. But
that was an isolated.
It's an isolated thing.
Yeah.
He went on vacation. He asked for a vacation. He went on vacation.
Yeah.
And he came back. Yeah. Not the best example.
No, but a lot of these officials, a lot of the high-ranking government officials, especially in the health department, I have read that their plan is to, like what a lot of high-ranking officials in many other countries, is to make a public display of them getting that vaccination. They're not likely to do it in secret.
Yeah.
No,
they're not going to do it in secret. They want to promote that the vaccine is safe.
It's safe, yeah.
And they want to promote people getting it.
Yeah.
So the last thing they're going to do is sneak off and get it.
Sneak off and get it. And regarding that, the safety of this vaccine, there's a lot of attention is being paid in some demographic circles on social media. How's that? That's a nice way of saying that.
That was
right?
very.
That there's, they're concentrating on the allergic reactions. They're concentrating on the bad reactions that some people are having to this vaccine,
which is like 0.2% of.
It's no more or less
population.
than your average adverse reaction from any vaccine. There's always going to be a percentage.
Well, you saw the thing going around that's also from Pfizer. They put all the side effects that you could have from this Pfizer product. And at the end, they said, I bet you thought it was going to be the vaccine, but it's actually Viagra.
Viagra, I know, I saw that. I was like, yeah, see? And then priorities, right?
They have to put every single thing, whether it's related to the vaccine or not, anything that's been reported during the application and weeks afterwards, they write down as a possible side effect.
Well, they have to have full disclosure. That's I believe that's the law here.
And that's why you see all of these things, Well,
it's like when you watch those commercials on TV, It's like, are you feeling depressed? Well, take our, our medicine here, and then there's like 2/3 of the rest of the commercial is, this may cause death, dismemberment, your fingernails are going to fall off, your earlobes are going to curl up. It's everything.
Yeah, I know.
And they throw all this stuff, and you think to yourself, well, wouldn't it just be better to have the disease? But, in reality, that is not only is the reaction to an adverse reaction to a vaccine a very, very, very small, minuscule percentage, but when you look at these individual, like you just said, they have to list all this. What are the odds, that you're gonna, lose your left eyebrow from taking ibuprofen?
Yeah.
Maybe 1 person in 6 million.
What are the odds that you're going to die from getting this vaccine? You have better odds of winning the lottery.
Right. You have more of a chance of dying from the disease than from the vaccine.
Probably. And I'm actually looking up, and they do give statistics of the vaccine as how many doses they've applied and the percentage of side effects.
Mm-hmm.
And, they've applied millions of doses by now. And they found that the rate of side effects is like 0.2%. 0.2%, that's like 1 in 1 million or something like that. I don't know.
It's small. It's small.
Minuscule.
It's a small amount.
And yes, there are the exceptions. We don't know if the person that got the encephalitis, the brain inflammation, after getting the vaccine was caused by the vaccine, or if it was something else that this person had going on.
Right.
The doctor, was it in Florida? In Texas, that supposedly died 2 weeks after from getting really, really low platelet counts.
Mm-hmm.
They have no idea why
that happened.
It happened about 2 weeks. He died about 2 weeks after he got the vaccine. They don't know if it was related to the vaccine or not. They're still doing the autopsy.
Yeah.
They're still trying to figure it out. But these are 2 possible people that have been affected. Possible. We say possible because we have no idea of their health history or what else could have caused it. Because there are other things that cause those things. 2 out of millions.
Well, yeah, 2 out of 300. There's 350 million people in the United States. Was it 20? God, what are we up to now? Of how many people have been infected in the United States? And when you look at these numbers, it's really easy to, I guess, to panic when you look at. Okay, there's been 2,300, say, just, for an example, just to throw a number out there, of people that have had these reactions.
Exactly.
And if you concentrate on that, you're not doing yourself any favors.
Right. It's like the people that are only concentrating on only 1% of the population dies from COVID.
Yeah. It's 6 of one, half dozen of the other, right?
Yeah.
22,152,595 people have contracted coronavirus in the United States. That is according to Worldometer, right? 374,000 deaths. And if you scroll through, all these facts and figures, and you get down, you get down to the percentages of people that have had adverse reactions to things or have had died from just coronavirus without any comorbidities.
Right. It's going up. It's going up for the people that.
Yeah, it's still a small number, and
it's a
that's not
number.
the number to concentrate on. You know? And I know that was a whole conspiracy theory went out. The CDC said that only 6% of the cases were actually COVID cases.
We have to concentrate on what happens when a person gets COVID, whether it be mild, moderate, or severe. It's taking that person out of the workforce. Probably in some areas they only quarantine them for 7 to 10 days.
Yeah.
For at least 10 days, it's taking that person out of the workforce.
Mm-hmm.
It's causing loss of hours, loss of man hours. It's causing problems with, the employer probably still has to pay some kind of sick leave to that person.
Yeah, it's not
and
just the
hire
individual.
Somebody else.
Yeah, it has an effect on several different areas of
Besides
society
the health
and the
system.
economy. Yeah.
besides the health system.
You know, if you've got, especially if you're, if you're a mega corporation, like say, if you're Google, right, or Walmart, and you've got a couple thousand people that are in quarantine, it's probably not going to affect your bottom line.
It'll hurt, but
if you're a small business, it
can just take you off the map.
It'll take you out, and that's one of the things that we've seen happen here.
Right.
And that we have seen repeated in many small towns, across every country.
And these people that are getting hospitalized are ending up with whoppers of medical bills.
Yeah.
And I don't know medical bills.
Yeah, and I don't know how that works here. I know that
it's putting a strain on the system.
I've had to pay for one of the COVID tests I had.
Yeah.
I had to pay for it, and even with my discount, my pensionado discount, it was still $150.
Yeah.
The other ones that I've had subsequently were free.
Yeah.
I got them up at the
basically at the cost to the government.
At the cost of the government, but you hear, it's not just the people. You may be able to get your test for free, right? And if you test positive, and you now have related conditions that you have to have treated, you have to go to the hospital, you have to
buy medication.
You have to buy medication. That
if you don't
also,
have insurance and you're not paying Social Security, you end up in the hospital. You're going to go in the public hospital. Yeah, it's a lot less. But if you're the average person here, the local,
right?
How are you going to pay that?
Right, and we can't think in terms of as expats here. And I know you're a citizen, but the expats here, those of us who are here are retired. Most of us have an income.
Yeah.
We have Social Security, at least Social Security.
Yeah.
A lot
and
of
you're
us
not going to lose that because you got COVID and you're
right.
stuck at home.
And a lot of expats here have 401k plans. They have annuities. They have savings. There's comparatively we're very wealthy to
exactly.
To the local.
Even the poorest expat is probably a lot more wealthy than your average local. Yeah. If your gardener gets sick and ends up in the hospital.
Yeah.
Those bills for that gardener are enormous. Even though they only make them put down like a deposit to get out of the hospital, it's on their record. They have to pay it off. If they go back to the hospital, that amount is still there that they have to pay off.
And I see Facebook posts, Twitter posts, Instagram, all kinds of stuff by saying a lot of some of the local expats here.
Yeah.
I had this issue. I had to go to the hospital. I went to, May Lewis, and, it was $21,000 out of pocket. Yeah. And, and I read these, and even with my cancer surgery, it was still almost $5,000 when you added everything in there.
It gets expensive. Treatment. It definitely gets expensive.
And we look at this and we're like, okay, well, if you've got a significant amount of resources, and this is not a dig against people.
No,
that have
not
money.
At all. You earn your retirement.
I have a lot of friends here that are very wealthy.
Yeah.
I'm happy for them.
Yeah.
There's no envy there. Man, if you have had a successful career and you can retire comfortably,
you earned it.
You earned it. But a lot of the locals don't have that. They don't have that option. I have this, and it's going to cost, even if it's something that only costs $500. That's a month.
For some people, that's not that much.
Yeah, but for a lot of the locals, particularly the indigenous,
it's a lot.
It may be an entire month or two, of income. So that's going to affect. It's going to affect the economy. Not only is it going to affect the health of that person, but you mentioned gardeners, and housekeepers. We rely on these services.
Yeah.
To a lot of us, these are essential services. If you are elderly and you're an expat and you are not sick, but you may not have the strength.
You require assistance.
You require, someone coming over to cut your grass or to clean your house may seem to people like, this is a luxury. In many cases, if you're older or if you're disabled, you need these things.
Right. It's not as much as a luxury. It's almost a necessity.
It's almost a necessity.
Because you don't have other family here.
Right.
And obviously you can't impose on friends to do everything.
Yeah, hey, come cut my grass.
Yeah.
Hey, no. But
exactly.
That's a loss of income for these people, for the people here. And I know that medical
kind of drips down. It affects everybody.
Medical care here is significantly less expensive than most of our passport countries. Those of us who are expats, Even in some cases, I know that when I go to the pharmacy to get my medication for the month, it is actually out of pocket less for me than what my copay was on Medicare.
That's pretty significant.
But it's still there's still an economic impact.
There is. And as things get scarce, because they tend to get scarce, then
Yes.
sometimes it's harder to find and the prices go up, or the substitutions tend to be more expensive.
Right. Yeah. No, that actually, yeah, I have found that to be unusual. The generic turns out to be more expensive than the.
Every once in a while, maybe a generic might be more expensive, or what you might consider a generic, not the typical brand that you might find in your home country.
An alternative brand.
Uh,
So I know we were down to about 3-4 minutes here.
Wow, time flies.
Well, that happens.
It does.
A couple things that I definitely wanted to make sure we got out there was that we are on lockdown this weekend.
Yep.
No information has been officially put out as to what happens after the 14th.
Right. Well, the only thing that I read this morning was that they are going to, the health minister came out this morning and posted something that said that they're going to evaluate whether they have to extend that quarantine.
Right, and we
That's the
know
only
that
thing.
that's, so they're going to be looking at that.
Yeah.
But as far as it stands
it's not necessarily
now,
cut off definitely just because they said until the 14th
Yeah.
in the beginning. It doesn't mean that it's going to be the ending.
right. So, a little bit of advice on that. A couple of weeks ago, I did a show. 3 weeks ago, I did a show here, and it was a solo show. And I had said I don't have any concrete information.
Exactly.
And then it ended up being that way. And this is just from
Yeah.
my decades of doing this type of communication. Prepare and assume that it's going to be extended. Don't wait till Friday to do your shopping.
And prepare and assume that we here may have more restrictions
We
soon because of the amount of cases. I mean, it's just jumped up enormously in this
Yeah,
province.
and so I'm going to assume that we're going to be on. This is just my assumption, okay? And I'm going to prepare for the likelihood. I think the likelihood is going to be that the weekend quarantines are going to
continue.
Are going to be continued for a while, and so
Probably.
is the curfew between 7 p.m. and 5
5
a.m.
a.m.
And there might be, like you said, further restrictions.
There
Maybe
might
they'll
be.
go back to the gendered shopping days,
Or
what
they
have
might
you.
put us on lockdown. We don't know. And don't start spreading rumors because I did not say we're going on lockdown.
Right.
Just saying that you have to prepare for the possibility. I've been preparing all week for being shut down this weekend. I'm not going to do all my shopping on one day because the lines are ridiculous and all that. So I just kind of spread it out over the week. And you just have to go preparing for your shutdown.
Yeah, and that's the thing, it's about preparation. It's about trying to make sure that you are not going to be stuck on a line somewhere for 2 hours, waiting to the last minute. So,
Afternoons are definitely better in a lot of cases, but many people like to do their stuff early, and that's why it's so congested early.
Right. So with that, we just want to make sure that everyone is adequately prepared. Don't wait to the last minute. Assume that this is going to continue,
right,
and it may get more restrictive.
And it might, or maybe less, but be prepared that the weekends will probably be locked down for a while.
And don't fret about not being able to register if you don't have a carnet de registration
It doesn't
or
mean
cédula.
that it's going to make you go down to the end of the line. It doesn't mean that you're not going to get a vaccine. No.
Right. And as you like to say every time you post, wash your hands, social distance, stay home.
And wear your mask.
Yeah.
You forgot the most important.
I know.
And yes, we are available in the clinic for emergencies this weekend. Yes, some pharmacies are open this weekend for home delivery for those that need emergency medications or whatever. And no show tomorrow for me.
And no, yes, right. That's right. Talking with your doctor. Tomorrow is Dias de Muertos or something?
Dia de los Martires.
Dias de Martires. The
So,
Day of the
no
Dead.
show.
It's a very solemn.
It's a very solemn day where some students in Panama City died doing their patriotic duty.
Yeah. So
basically,
we want to be respectful.
Can't go through the whole history, but be respectful. No loud noise. And no parties.
Yeah, don't be driving down the road with your boombox in your car.
It's a solemn day tomorrow.
It's a very, very solemn day, and so the radio station is closed tomorrow. I don't know what they're going to be broadcasting, but it won't be talking with your doctor.
No, it won't be talking with your doctor, but hopefully it'll be back next weekend.
Yes.
With whom I'm not sure. Maybe Al.
Yeah. Hey, you never know, right?
Never know.
Well, I want to thank Dr. Tuer for joining me today.
Thank you for inviting me.
And for all of your expertise and for everything that you're doing for our community.
My pleasure.
You've been listening to Boquete Now Talk Radio on Radio Cherokee 103.3 FM, sponsored by Big Daddy's Grill, Boulder 54 in the Tap Out Sport Zone. We'll see you next week. We might have an interesting show next week. I have some guests online that I think you're really going to like.